Our next guest says that American investors need to get used to political and security risks. He's Paul Christopher, Chief International Strategist at Wells Fargo. Paul, welcome back to Nightly Business Report. You heard Michelle's report. What hotspot worries you the most?
Well, Ukraine worries me the most right now, mainly because I think it's underappreciated. It's sort of drifted into the back pages of the paper as people focus on Iraq. I think Iraq is more of a long-term story.
What happens there? I mean, obviously, the new president of Ukraine has sided now with the European Union, much to the chagrin of Vladimir Putin and the Russians. Do they come to loggerheads over that, or what happens, do you think?
That's right. And not only in Ukraine, but in Moldova also, you have interest in the EU 27 group. I think Putin continues to apply pressure in the best way that he knows how, which is sort of subterfuges that involve having irregulars make trouble in the eastern regions of Ukraine until he can get Poroshenko, the president of Ukraine, to declare the eastern regions not really independent, but autonomous. That's his main goal.
And how do you think, going to Iraq, how do you think the whole Iraq situation is going to play out over the rest of this year? And what does it mean for investors?
Over the rest of this year, I really think Iraq is going to turn into a slow grind. The insurgents really don't have the ability to take Baghdad or really disrupt the oil production of Iraq. What they can do, though, is to slip into Baghdad and have terrorist acts, bombings, suicide missions, those kinds of things. They can also keep pressure on the military in order to have the military spread out over the whole country, trying to play a whack-a-mole game as the insurgents move from one town to the next. What investors really need to keep in mind, I think, is that Iraq is part of a broader problem in the Middle East where borders are just disintegrating. And the risk there is that at some point we have a full-blown religious civil war, and that would affect oil production and oil exports. I don't think that's imminent, so I don't think that investors should be focusing on risk havens such as gold at this point, or even buying excessive amounts of oil. I think we need to be broadly diversified instead.
How do we view China right now? There are questions about the growth of their economy, the strategy there to create this demand growth economy, inflation problems, pollution problems. How do you view them right now, and how should investors play China right now, do you think?
And China's obviously in the process of a transition to a more sustainable growth rate. But in the process, they have to make sure they don't slow too much. So this is the third year in a row when China has implemented second half of the year stimulus programs that actually go in the opposite direction of the reforms by stimulating building activity. So China, I think, will remain stable, at least for the time being, and investors should continue to look to Asia. I just came back from Southeast Asia. We continue to like that part of the world as well, but would hold it in a broadly diversified way in order not to take too much risk on any one country. We think China will stay stable and will hold emerging markets together.
Okay, giving us a lot to think about. Thank you so much, Paul. Paul Christopher, International Strategist at Wells Fargo.